Listen to the vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Vibes. Love to welcome here Nick, and is your last name Taylor?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Nick, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm a girl dad. My daughter is a freshman at San Diego State. She'll be playing basketball this year. I own my own security staffing firm nationwide. I donated my kidney to my best friend of 23 years to his 16-year-old son about about 3 years ago now. As I was rehabbing in subacute rehabs, I was on a dating app. I had stumbled into, they had a live section. Next thing you knew, I became a live streamer. Had live streamed for 2.5 years, had a lot of success in it, but then it changed. A lot of things changed to where it started becoming about greed, algorithm numbers, and I kind of redirected myself into podcasting, where I appreciate it because it's a genuine connection without expecting or needing anything but somebody's ear and somebody's time.
So, what do you usually talk about?
I mean, I've talked about everything from music, as I used to produce music in my 20s. So I bring on some musical people. I just brought on one of my friends who's a bigger TikToker. She's a psychic medium energy, Ivy Hill. We talk about different content creating, current events, life, the same stuff that everybody else is going through, that sometimes they don't feel seen, feel heard, or express. Or sometimes people just feel alone.
Now, let's go back to you donating your kidney. My understanding, you've been going through some problems.
Yeah, I've gone through some complications. I spent 56 weeks from surgeries into a subacute rehab, back into the hospital with sepsis last year. I had just had sepsis about 4 weeks ago now. I've been home for a couple of weeks. I'm on an IV antibiotic regimen. It's been a little harder, but there's a 40% chance when donating that it's harder on the donor than it is the recipient.
That's got to be scary.
Yeah, it's rough. It is rough, and especially having a kid of your own. But I also know that if it had been my daughter, my best friend would have been on that table for her.
Yeah. You worry about, dying from this?
I worried about one day I'll need a kidney.
Yeah.
But I also know that my friend is a 3 out of 6 because they do it by a 6 blood point match. I was a higher because me and his son were the exact blood type, A positive. And I was like 5 out of 6. He was like 3 out of 6. But I do know that if I needed a kidney, I would go to the top of the list because I've donated. So when you donate, you always tend to get transplanted first. But I also know that I have a sister who would donate. I know if I really needed one, I wouldn't want to take it from a kid. And I know that my best friend would donate.
Well, let's get back to your podcasting. You have a partner, don't you?
I do. I have my friend Nick Chappell. He podcasts with me. He's been sticking real strong into the podcast with me. But sometimes we try to pump out like 4 to 5 episodes a week. We do pop out a lot of episodes. But I've also seen that with people that a lot of my people that followed me with streaming, I had over 6,000 followers when I streamed. A lot of them have converted to start following me in my podcast journey. And he brought over his own from gaming and streaming. And together, I could never thank my friend My one good female friend, she pushed me as my top number three gifter to get into podcasting because she saw I started hating what streaming was becoming. It was making me unhappy. And I mean, I did it because it made me happy, but it was the whole forecast was changing. There's a lot of money thrown around in the streaming world. So a lot of people expect it. I've always been a person that didn't use streaming for revenue. So even though I was part of the 25 milli club as far as gifted, I supported a lot of people back and made sure they grew. And that's kind of like the same format I keep with my podcast as I continue to grow on my platform and I continue to gain popularity. I want to use it to get other people exposure.
Do you do yours live or you record yours?
I record it. Sometimes I do a record live chat. So, I use Podbean. The only thing
Oh
I
yeah.
don't like about Podbean is you have to like visually record it on your own to upload it if you want visual. So, like when I do a live chat recording, it ends up being that it's only audio.
I've tried doing the live stuff. I never really had much success at it. We every once in a while we do a Facebook as well as YouTube live, and sometimes it's hard to get people to tune in at that specific moment. They're especially the content that I do. It's one of those I maybe they like to listen to it when they're cleaning the house or driving or something, and that specific time it's really hard to do.
And I feel you on that 100% because I get a lot of people I know that listen to me while they're at work.
Right.
So they're interrupted, they're whatever. And to hit that spot, that sweet spot where you're going to have 150, 25, 500. I was fortunate a few times to pull 500 people out in a chat on Podbean, but it was on a weekend and it was really lucky, and I don't do it consistently.
Actually, what's the or who has been the weirdest guest you've ever had on your show?
She's going to hate me for this. Ivy Hill. I love her. I adore her. But like when she gets into like the psychic median and the energy stuff, and she's like, I'll read your cards. I'm like, it's always something cool. Like you're a pirate or a knight. You're never like homeless or like a bum. Like, you're always something cool. Like, and of course the cards come out and she's like, yeah, see, your energy says things are gonna change. I was like, I didn't expect it to be negative.
The one thing that I hate is when someone will send you a message and want to come on your show, and you get them on, and they might even have a really cool, interesting subject to talk about, but you ask them a question and you get maybe one or two word answers. You ever get
Nah,
those?
yes, yes. Because I do what you do, right? And you either have a knack for podcasting or you don't. Like I love how you do it, right? Like you'll make a statement, but when you make a statement, it's like left open with a pause so somebody puts their input in, or it's like a statement slash question where someone can fill it in, right? Like there's a way to like direct it so it's a back and forth. And then I'll turn around and I've had people on my show where I have to be like, right, so and so? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, I just talked for 3 minutes to get a yes.
Exactly my point. Elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
When you
yeah.
have to draw it out of them, it's like, why did you even message me in the first place? I expected you to talk about whatever it is that you wanted to talk about.
That was probably one of my weirdest pod match um interviews. Was that I got on the interview and the host was like, yeah, I'm glad you could jump in and fill in today because I had to cut someone short today earlier because they couldn't make the cut because they had no presence. And I was like, that's horrible. Like, I feel so bad, but I was like, I get it. Like, as a podcast host, I get it. You get people on that, like, sometimes I've had to say my guest's name like 12 times in an episode to, like, kind of like, you want to give me some feedback on this?
I had a guest that he just went so far off the rails that I made an excuse that I was having technical difficulties and just cut him short. And I just never called him back to come back on the show. He was just weird. Like he came from another planet and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, all righty then. And I've had guests that have come on that have made me laugh so much that I had tears streaming out of my eyes. I couldn't hardly finish. But I've had those guests that it got really serious, and only one guest has really brought me to tears that I almost couldn't finish. Have you had experiences like that?
Not so much with emotion in the sad part or with a real touching story. I mean, I am newer. I've been into podcasting for 4.5 months. Even though 5 months, even though I've had like some success and stuff, but like I get people to definitely go off the rocker on some topics, and then they'll bring up topics that make me uncomfortable to like give my insight on because like like I know as a podcaster, even if you feel a certain way on certain topics, you still don't want to talk about them on air because even if 6% of the people that support you feel opposite, you don't want to offend them. That's not your intent. Your intent is to have that connection with them, that here we're in this together, right? And I always try to tell people, like, I use my microphone as my therapy. Okay. I
Right.
find it therapeutic that every once in a while, if my co host can't make it and I don't pull on a guest, that we just may have a conversation. It's just me knowing that I have people who listen because I know they listen. And I will genuinely talk about stuff that I know people don't always talk about on podcasts, like what they're going through. And I try to like talk to people about stuff. And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I'm in the hospital. Things get tough. But you know what? If you fight it out long enough, it's going to get better eventually. It's not forever going to be horrible. It's going to get good. So you just keep fighting. That's it. And there's times like, and I've been quoted on this. I always tell people, like, yeah, I get it. Sometimes people are stuck in ruts. And I've been in places where I've been out at sea and I've been in a storm and I've been lost as far as how I feel about things in that time. Maybe things seemed a little dark. And I've always had it to where people found me worth their time to come and find me and bring me back to reality. That, things aren't all that bad. Things will get better. So there's my times I use my mic as therapy. And I know it's good for people to hear that they're not alone.
For the most part, I try to have people on that talk about subjects that aren't necessarily controversial. A lot of physical health advisors or even money advisors, but sometimes there's the mental health aspect, and that will get touchy at times. But for the most part, I try to, just bring somebody on who has good advice. Every once in a while, I'll have a guest that they'll have certain opinions that I don't necessarily agree with. Then I'm respectful. I don't want to be in an echo chamber. Let's put it that way. Sometimes I'll have somebody on that thinks totally different than me. I ain't gonna lie, I'd rather have somebody that agreed with me all the time, but that's not gonna happen. Uh, you're gonna have that guest every once in a while that uh, you just have to cut them off. But I try to let everyone have a voice. And like you say, sometimes it's therapy. I'll have people come on that, especially in the mental health field, as much as I've gone through in my life, I need to hear some of this stuff.
I agree. And listen, I've been where you're at too. I've had people go off their rocker on something that like just doesn't even make sense. And they'll just go off their rocker like you swear they're on something. They're high or something, drink. And they'll just start ranting and they go into another rant and it doesn't make sense. And
Mhm.
there's times I've just ended a podcast and deleted it and like can't use that episode.
That's happened a couple of times. I remember getting into a conversation with this guy about I think they're called NFTs, where
Oh
you
yes.
buy those little pictures or
Digital
whatever.
code.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, what is the point? Because if there's a picture and I really, really want it, I'll go online and if if it's something you have to buy and maybe there's a little thing in the corner that you know, what do you call that? Like a watermark. I'll take a screenshot and I'll just cut it out or put something over it. If I want a picture of that bad, I'll just take the picture myself. Why do I need to go pay for it? What's the point? And I try to get the guy to explain it to me because I guess I'm just dumb when it comes to that thing. But he just kept repeating the same thing over and over again. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm done.
I don't agree with it. It's ridiculous to pay that much for a digital picture, and there's some that go for like a million, like increasingly high prices, and that's crazy. And I never understand. I'm like you, maybe I'm just out of it, but I could think of a million things better to spend a million, $3 million on. And the fact that I ever get to sell it and make my money back is in between far and few.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I will never understand that thing. And I would rather go buy my kids or my grandkids some Pokemon cards than buy some goofy little picture on the computer that I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do with it anyway.
I'm 100% with you. I never got it, and but like I know somebody one day was they started with the ghost, and I was like, yeah, if I heard something in my basement, I'm running out the house. Well, what if it's a killer? I'm like, well, then I'm glad I ran out the house. But don't you think that's stupid? No, I don't. I think going down into my dark basement in the middle of the night is stupid. Well, I think that drinking and this, and I was like, what? I thought we were on someone banging in the basement. I'm so confused.
You get some interesting ones, that's for sure.
But you get things that spiral so much that you try to look at it from your viewers and you're like, would they really hang on through this? Like maybe a little bit, but like this is now going on for like 15 minutes. Like I don't think they would.
I'm curious as to what's going to be in the comments on some of them that I've talked to. You know, speaking of comments, I I had a lady come on, and mind you, she was dying, and she was spending the rest of her days trying to like sell a book and make money, but she was making the money to go towards a foundation that goes into like treatments or looking for treatments for the disease she had. And she's the one that actually made me cry. And it was a very, very touching. And I thought, there's no way. that somebody would say something negative about this. And I had a guy call me all kinds of names in the comments, and the comments were just nasty. You ever had anybody do that to you?
Unfortunately, for all the life of me, I've probably gotten on 100 plus episodes, I've probably gotten like 70 comments. None have been bad. But
Wow.
I've had people that were guests out of despite, like out of spite, I mean, out of spite would go after they left my podcast. If I didn't talk about exactly sensitive topics they wanted to, one starred me
Oh, come on.
out of pettiness. And I'm like, they're like, and it always kills me because I can have so many views in a week. Like I just came off a 3,000 view week, right? And I had like maybe 15 people that rated me. You know, they did their 5 stars, but I had two guests that were completely out of pocket. I mean, one wanted to go into politics, which I try to avoid completely at this point. You're
Right.
never going to have the world see eye to eye on it.
Exactly.
And another one went into racism stuff and certain races, this and that. And I did. I cut their episodes out.
I don't blame
And
you.
they went, listened to an episode, and one starred me.
Jeez. The weirdest comment I ever had was a guy had the comment was towards my guest and was looking for money or something that they owed him. And I ended up emailing my guest and was like, dude, this guy comes on and he said, you were a fraud. He wanted his money back, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to say who it was because the guy's a really nice guy and I don't want him to be embarrassed. But the things people put in comments just, it blows my mind sometimes.
Have you ever just outright refused a guest?
There's been a
I had
couple.
my first one this morning.
Did you really?
My friend said, you know the girl on TikTok that's trying to sue DoorDash for firing her about the alleged essay, and then she like broke into the guy's house and took pictures of him drunk.
Oh no. I haven't heard that
Yes.
one.
Oh yes, yes. This woman was a DoorDash driver. The door was like cracked open. The guy passed out like borderline naked on his own couch. Instead of common sense, why would you just leave the food on the step and leave? She pushed open the door, went in his house, took pictures of him and video,
Oh no.
posted the videos on TikTok. So, of course, TikTok said, we're going to cut you and we're going to drop you. We don't need you, blah, blah, blah. She turned around and is trying to she's trying to sue DoorDash. She was essayed visually. And my friend goes, I know this girl. I can get her to talk about it on your podcast. I said, no, thank you.
Not today.
No, I'm good on that.
um, do you have a website?
I like as far as I use my Instagram
Oh,
if
okay.
people need to reach out to me, which is lowercase b nick energy underscore 2025. And then I use, just like most of us, I use Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, two Nicks, one cup,
All right. Well,
and
oh, go ahead.
Podbean.
Go ahead. And
Yeah, and
Podbean.
just yeah.
Okay. Well, I will put your links in the description just to make it easier for folks to find you. Nick, thank you for coming on today, and this has been enjoyable.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for being patient with my lack of knowing Zoom.
Hey, it's totally fine. Been there.
I
But
appreciate it gratefully.
oh, of course, of course. And I also want to thank all you folks out there. If you are new to the channel, I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button. And if you would, check out Nick here. Please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network